Hey there everybody, PTPOP here with all four lobes of my brain completely aquablation. Today is June 27th, 2025 at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, and I am, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am 3 days past my aquablation procedure on my prostate. And I want to give you all an update about the procedure and how it affected me and some of the events leading up to it, and how I am afterwards. So for several years, starting in 2019, I started having difficulty peeing, and I just assumed it was part of getting old, which in some cases it is. You know, not every guy runs into this problem, but a lot of us men do. And I just kept putting it off, you know. Oh, so what? It's just a little harder to pee. I'm getting older, blah, blah, blah. But I noticed this is back in the days when I was still drinking beer, especially when I drank beer. I had a couple beers one night and I couldn't pee at all. It wouldn't even come out of me. It was horrible. That was one of the reasons that led me to cease my drinking, because it just shut my prostate down completely. Long story short, I spent between 2019 and 2024 desperately trying to figure out a way to fix this problem on my own. I was convinced I could defeat the doctors and I could figure out a natural remedy to shrink my prostate on its own, which I found is impossible. I tried every conceivable remedy I could find on Dr. Google and on ChatGPT, saw palmetto, vitamin D, magnets, anything I could think of, anything that they recommended, I tried, and it didn't work. Nothing was helping. So I went through a variety of urologists. I didn't like the first bunch of urologists I met. They were older. They seemed to be stuck in their ways. They were pretty convinced I had cancer. They said, you've got to have cancer. You must have cancer. You've got to get a biopsy. And I wanted to have an MRI first. I said, well, if you think I have cancer, don't you want to be taking a biopsy of an area that you think might be cancerous, or do you want to just poke around on my prostate like pin the tail on a donkey and hope you find cancer cells? And they're like, well, it doesn't work that way, Pete. You have to understand. No, I pushed and pushed and pushed, and finally I found a urologist who would do an MRI. And they did my MRI, and I didn't have any signs of cancer from what they could tell in an MRI. Now, the MRIs do not do microscopic analysis of a prostate. They can tell if there's lesions, and there were no lesions, but my prostate was 100 cc's, which is like, I think it's like 3 to 4 times as big as a prostate should be. Your prostate's supposed to be about the size of a walnut, and mine is like the size of a lime or a lemon, or it was anyway. So I finally found a urologist that I liked, named Dr. PTPOP. Forgive me, doctor, I have a hard time with your name. That's why I didn't go to med school, and you did. But I went to see him back in November of 2024. I found him on the internet. He's a urologist at the Cleveland Clinic. He's the director of men's health and I believe urology at the Cleveland Clinic. So he knows his shit. He knows his stuff. And I went to his office that day down at the clinic, and the nurse came in and said, okay, we need to get a urine sample. And I said, I don't think that's going to happen today. She's like, why? And I said, because I can't pee. She's like, that's not good. Come on with me. So me and this nurse and my wife went into this room, and she had me drop my drawers, and she shoved a catheter inside of me. And for those of you men out there that are afraid of catheters, I hadn't had a catheter in me since I was 10, and all I remember is the pain I felt when they pulled it out. But it really wasn't that bad. It was more like a pinch, but I was horrified. So she pushed this catheter inside me. She's holding a beaker in her hand, and I peed 1,200 cc's, or was it 1,200 cc's or 1,200 milliliters? I basically peed about a Pepsi 2-liter bottle of urine came out of me. And she's like, that's not good. And I couldn't pee at all. And so she empties me out. Dr. Bayich comes in and he sits down with me and he says, you know what, I got to talk to you about this, Pete, because there's three things in the human anatomy, the male human anatomy, that continue to grow as you get older. Your ears, your nose, and your prostate. He said, your prostate is growing. It's not swollen. It's not sore. There's nothing that's going to make it shrink. There's not an anti-inflammatory I can give you. It's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And there's three things that are going to happen to you. Today, you peed 1,200 cc's or milliliters. I'm not good at, again, doctor, you know, this is why you went to school and I didn't. You peed a boatload of urine, basically. He said, your bladder is designed to hold maximum 400 cc's of liquid. You peed out 1,200. If this continues to go, your bladder is going to lose any functionability that it has. The ability, its elasticity will be gone. You will no longer be able to push urine out. That's the first thing that will happen. The second thing that will happen as the urine continues to back up in your system, it's going to affect your kidneys. Your kidneys are going to get swollen and they're going to shut down, which can lead to one of two things: kidney dialysis or death. Okay, keep in mind, I have seen 4 to 5 other urologists prior to this man. None of them told me this. None of them explained it to me like this. This man told me to my face, you're gonna die. And I went, okay, this is some serious shit. There's a variety of reasons it gets to me, because the previous doctors I met, I felt were incompetent, and I kept going to different doctors because nobody would talk to me. They just said they were just doing it by the book. They were old doctors that were on the verge of retiring, and they would just go through the manual, so to speak, and go, okay, well, swollen prostate, biopsy, and they wouldn't let me get an MRI. They wouldn't do anything. This doctor said it straight. He shot from the hip. He said, if you don't get this done, you're going to be kaput. He said, I'll give you 2 options. There's a few options. You can keep going the way you're going and enter an early grave, or you can get a whole-up procedure, or you get an aquablation procedure. And both the whole-up and the aquablation procedures are procedures where they go in and they basically core out the center of the prostate so you can pee again. He said, prior to this, I talked to another urologist into letting me get an MRI and a couple other tests. This Dr. Bayich looked at all my tests. I've looked at all your tests, your blood work. You don't have cancer. I don't show any signs of you having cancer, but if you continue living like this, you're going to kick the bucket, or you're going to be on dialysis. And I will kill myself if I ever have to go on dialysis. I won't be able to take it. I know that for a fact. So he said, I recommend either the whole-up procedure or the aquablation. And so I went home and I did some research, and aquablation seemed like it was the least invasive procedure. It was the one that would leave me the most functionality of my reproductive parts, to put it politely. There'd be no ED, or very slim chance of getting ED, which at this point I don't even care if I get ED or not. It's not like I'm running around, the nightclubs and stuff, and my wife and I aren't so swinging from chandeliers anymore with Crisco and rubber gloves. So I went, okay, I did a lot of research on aquablation, and I agreed to do the aquablation. Dr. Bayich had me come back in February. He did what's called a cystoscopy or cystoscopy. Again, it's a procedure where he takes a tube, puts it up your urethra to look at your bladder, because he wanted to see if my bladder were still functioning, and it was just basically a picture, a video camera. I saw it on the video. Painless. They numb you up. They numb up your wiener. They numb up they do all kinds of tests on the pressure of your bladder by putting sensors in your anus, and it was totally, I'll be honest with you, the catheter is no big deal. The cystoscopy, I didn't even feel it. They numbed my entire urethra up, had no idea what he was doing down there, and it lasted 30 seconds. No big deal. And this is coming from a guy who, I do not like hospitals. I have a phobia of needles. I have a phobia of medical procedures. I was handled gracefully and quickly, and it was well done. So he said, your bladder's fine. I don't see any problems with it, but you've got to get something done with your prostate. And I scheduled I decided to go with Aquablation because I felt it would give me the best chance of a full recovery with full function of my reproductive parts. I'm trying to be polite because I don't know what YouTube will and won't let me say on here. But I think it's important that men know that this is not something that you should be afraid of. And again, I don't know how to put it. This is coming from a guy who is mortified of needles. Not of needles, I don't mind injections, just IVs. It's a whole nother story, but I'm mortified of hospitals and the whole thing. Just talking about it right now, break out in a cold sweat. So I made the appointment for my Aquablation for this last June 24th, just this last Tuesday. And the only issues I had, the procedure itself, let me start off by saying this was done at the Cleveland Clinic by one of the top urologists, if not the top urologist in the clinic. I have nothing against him or his staff or anything like that, okay? But the way I was handled prior to my procedure on June 24th was rough, to put it politely. I mentioned to multiple people prior to the procedure that I had a phobia of needles and IVs, and I needed a sedative to calm me down before they put the IV in my arm. I asked for a Valium. My MD, who is a completely separate doctor from a different hospital, gave me 5 milligrams of Valium. And I had to go to what's called a pre-op meeting a week before the surgery with the Cleveland Clinic, where I sat down with at least 2 different RNs. And the one RN told me, oh, no. You can't have a sedative before surgery. You can't have a Valium. You can take it the night before, but that's all you can do because it could have a bad interaction with your anesthesia. And at that moment, I went, oh, no. Okay. So between a week to the day I had my surgery, I was completely freaking out. Like, I was quietly freaking out. My wife knew I was freaking out. Friends knew I was freaking out. I wasn't running around here crying or anything, but it's a huge, huge phobia of mine. So I get to the hospital. My good friend Todd and his wife Krista drove my wife and I down to the clinic for my procedure of the morning of June 24th, 2025. I was scheduled to be there at 10. We get there, and all the traffic lights around the Cleveland Clinic are out for some reason. Nobody knows why, but anyway, it's a whole nother story. We get into the clinic. Todd and Krista are amazing people. I've known Todd since first grade, and they're both great people. They were nice enough to take time off of work to get us down there. My wife can't drive because of her epilepsy. I couldn't drive because I had to get us home, and there's no way I could get us home because I'm now 4 days or 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days past the Aquablation procedure, and I think the anesthesia finally, all the drugs I was on finally wore off. An orderly, a black woman, there's a lot of African-American people that work at the clinic, and most of them work in, from what I can tell, orderly positions of some sort. So this nice little old lady says, hey, what are you here for? Give her my name, date of birth. She's like, they're ready for you. Come on, follow me. She walks me down this hallway and he puts me in a room. She leaves. My wife and I are standing there, and in bursts this heavy black woman. I'll call her Bertha, one of the Butt sisters. She's as friendly as, an alligator with hemorrhoids. Come on over here. You take off your clothes over here. You take off your clothes, put them in this bag. She points to my wife. She goes, you go in that room. You can't be in here when he's in here. Okay, take off your clothes. You put them in this bag, put it on this robe, and then she just marches out of the room. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a real treat. Now keep in mind, I'm horrified. I'm horrified at this moment because I'm about to get an IV. And I still don't have any Valium. Valium and an IV with me, I'm fine. You can stick whatever you want into whatever part of my body you want if I'm on a Valium. So she walks out, and in walks Nurse Ratchet. there's this older nurse, she's a nurse, and she is not smiling, she's not friendly, she's not welcoming. And she's like, okay, well, we got to do your IV. And I said, well, they told you, and I have told people again and again and again and again, up to this, in texts, in emails, in verbal consults, in consults with my doctor, I have a phobia. I have a phobia of IVs. Hello, Earth to the medical world at the Cleveland Clinic. All right. So this nurse says, I say to her, you're aware of my IV phobia? She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, and my heart sinks even deeper. I'm breaking out in a cold sweat because I'm just envisioning this horrible situation with the IV. She's like, no, I don't know, what are you talking about? She's like, did you take anything for it? So she says, well, did you take a sedative? I'm like, no, I was told I couldn't take a sedative. She's like, who told you couldn't take a sedative? I said, well, at the pre-op meeting a week ago, the nurse said I couldn't take a sedative because it would have bad interaction with the anesthesia and I could code on the table. She's like, well, that's not true at all. I mean, everybody takes a lot of people take anti-anxiety medicine before an operation and have phobias with IVs. Now, keep in mind, up to this point, I have texted my doctor's nurse, his nursing staff, met with an RN. Multiple people know about this. And nobody knew about it or could do anything about it for me. This woman says, no, it's no problem. She's like, did you take anything yet? I said, no. But my wife has a 5 milligram tablet of Valium in her purse out in the lobby where Bertha made her sit. She's like, well, let me go get it from her. So she goes out and grabs the pill from my wife. I take it. I'm feeling happy. And once it kicks in, she puts in the IV. It wasn't the best situation, but it was good. I mean, I was feeling good enough to where it didn't affect me that much. So I don't know what it's going to be like at your my initial interaction with most of the people at the hospital was not good. This nurse obviously was nearing retirement and probably had seen a few too many bad things in her life as a nurse and was just tired of her job. I saw a lot of this at the clinic. I saw a lot of nurses that were overworked, understaffed, probably underpaid, and were stressed out beyond words. They just didn't care about me, and they didn't show. I saw very little empathy or kindness other than from the orderlies, the African American people that pushed me around the hospital. Some of these people that pushed me around had been with the hospital for over 30 years. Beautiful, nice, caring, empathetic people. But they weren't nurses and they weren't doctors. So I'm laying there in a gown and the whole thing, and in walks my anesthesiologist. I can't remember who put in the IV, but somewhere in this whole sequence, the anesthesiologist comes in. Wonderful lady. I don't remember her name. Up to this point, she calms me down, she talks to me, she reassures me that my phobia is going to be taken care of. She said she's going to put a certain something in my IV before they knock me out that calms me down, and I won't feel a thing. Wonderful lady, and I told her she was an angel. And I said, you're an angel and I love you. Not in a romantic sense, Meg, I don't mean that. I wasn't about to propose to the woman. But she was very kind to me, and she looked me in the eyes, and she was straightforward and empathetic, and she said she'd seen a lot in the hospital, and she understood. Bingo. Okay, so we get through kind of the rigmarole with all of the people you've got to go through to get to the OR. Then this man comes in to reel me to the OR, just a wonderful man, another African American, who is, I guess, an orderly guy that pushes patients around, old farts like me. We have he rolls me for seems like 100 miles. I'm laying looking up at the ceiling, I can see the bottom of his chin, telling me he's been with the hospital for 30 years and he loves his job, he wouldn't want anything else in the world. Wonderful man. And I'm like, wow, why can't the nurses be, all the nurses, they should turn the orderlies into nurses. But that would probably destroy these people too. Because I can tell you, these nurses at the clinic must see some horrible shit. because some of them really were not friendly. I don't think they're naturally unfriendly people, but I just don't think I think it's time for them to go work in a call center or something like that. Or, Carrie, if you're watching, you'll know what I mean by that. So I get to the OR, and I'm laying on my back, Over there is the machine that goes bing, and ceiling tiles and lights, people all around me. I'm cold. They put something on me that warmed me up, maybe a hot blanket or something. My doctor's face appears above my head. He's got the gown on. He wears glasses, kind of like mine. He looks down. He's a really good-looking guy. I'm not gay at all, but this guy's good-looking. And when he looks in my eyes, I'm like, oh, maybe I should go to the other side. No offense, doctor. If you're straight, I'm sorry. If you're gay, hey, maybe I'll come over and join you for a party sometime. So he looks down at me, and I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember if I spoke to him. I recognized him. I saw his face. And next thing I know, I'm in post-op. From what I'm told, my procedure lasted longer than usual because I think my prostate's pretty big. I think it lasted like 90 minutes almost. I was supposed to only be there for 40 minutes, but I think I was in there for like an hour. Let's say it was an hour. So I wake up in post-op. I don't remember much about post-op other than I was in a very, very, very uncomfortable bed. Just like, I have no idea what kind of bed they had me in. But my God, Cleveland Clinic, you're worth billions of dollars. You take care of Arabian princes. Would you put an Arabian prince in that post-op, in that horrible bed? My back hurt, my head hurt. The last thing in my mind was my IV or my prostate. It was like, oh my God, get me out of this goddamn bed. It was dark, it was gloomy, it was gray. It was depressing. There was a nurse there. I think my wife was there. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure, Meg, you were there. The nurse was trying her best to make me feel comfortable. She even got me food. She even got me dinner. I think it was lunch. I was scheduled to be there at 10. My surgery was supposed to be at noon. It didn't take place till like 1:30. So we had to sit in this pre-op thing for like 3 hours. Surgery took like an hour and a half or something crazy like that. And so I'm in post-op. I told the nurse that I was hungry. She went out of her way. She got me this great chicken mushroom dish with carrots. Awesome food. The one good thing I can say about the clinic is they have great food. I've always heard hospital food is terrible. That's all I've ever heard about hospital food is terrible. She tried her best to make me happy and comfortable. She was decent. I told her she was an angel too. I don't remember her name or what she looked like or anything. But she was very busy. She had a lot of people around her. And I said to her, if you don't get me the hell out of this bed and into another room, I'm going to pull everything out of me and just go home. I was miserable. I was so miserable. I was excruciating. And she gave me a shot of, through my IV, she gave me a shot of fentanyl, I think, which they say this is like the gateway drug to heroin. All it did was knock me out for like 3 hours. And I tell you, if I was going to be a drug addict, I don't want something that's going to make me unconscious. I don't. When I drink, I like to drink because you feel euphoric and you feel good and you're having fun and you're conscious and you're able to play guitar and watch TV and laugh with friends. Fentanyl just knocked me right on my ass. She gave me a shot of something like that. It was something like that. I might have it wrong. But she said, we're working on trying to get you a bed somewhere in the hospital, which I was told by my doctor that wouldn't happen. I would be staying in this post-op area and all night, then they'd let me go the next day. But I was freaking out. I was like, you've got to get me out of here. And talking about it right now, I'm breaking out in a cold sweat. It was mental anguish in this room for me. So this woman broke her ass to get me a room. She got me a room on the 10th floor of the hospital in the, I guess it's where people have transplants. because my roommate had just gotten a kidney transplant. So I wasn't even really in a urological area. I was in a transplant recipient floor. And I got up there, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing. The attention they gave me on that floor at times was spotty at best. I felt like a lack of sympathy or empathy or caring by some of the nurses, not all of them, but some of them were kind of like going through the motions. But the bottom line is this: I'm not going to cut more into the clinic. The clinic overall handled me really well. My doctor did a great job on my prostate. I felt no pain. I had a little pain at the end of my member because there was a catheter the size of like a kindergarten pencil sticking out of me. And remember those pencils you used to use in kindergarten? They're bigger than the number 2 pencils. They're like twice as big. It was, a latex tube or a plastic tube coming out of me, and it was burning the end of my member in my urethra. I had no pain in my prostate area. I had no pain. I had a little bit of pain in my bladder. They kept me on some anti-anxiety meds and gave me Valium throughout the time I was there. So if you're afraid of this operation, what I can tell you is this: I experienced no discomfort due to the operation in any way, shape, or form. None. No pain in my groin, no pain in my penis, no pain in my balls, no pain in my prostate. And my prostate was huge for a prostate. Today is Friday, June 27th. I am 3 days past the surgery. I just had my catheter removed 3 hours ago, and I'm peeing like I'm 18 again. No blood. I had to stay. I went home with a catheter because I had a lot of blood in my urine, and I still had some sediment from the destruction of my prostate. As of today at 3 o'clock, since I've been home the last 3 hours, I've peed 4 times. I'm peeing like I'm 18 again. Swear on a Bible. Wait. My Christian Bible. I swear to you on a Bible that I felt no pain. And I'm peeing like I'm 18 again, and it's only a few days after the surgery. There's still some blood in my urine. I got to pee right now, as a matter of fact, so I'm probably going to end it here. But I want you all to know, I can't say you won't have difficulties. The doctors can't tell you that. But from what I experienced, even though I had some mental anguish, most of it was my own fault from my own phobias. And even though I was kind of mishandled by a few of the Nazi-type nurse ratchets, I made it through it with the help of my wife, and mostly my wife and my friends and people that prayed for me, like Dr. Lisa in Wales, in the UK, and Jean Marie Spacusa in California, and my friend Sharon and Leah and Laura and Todd and Krista. And I don't think my brother-in-law and my sister are praying people, but they were thinking about me. I got through this because a lot of people, the mental anguish part. The clinic, all they did was fill me with drugs to try to shut me up because they got tired of hearing me talk about my phobias, which is fine. That's all I wanted. I'm not a Valium addict. I don't want to be a Valium addict because it just knocks me out. I just don't want to take something that makes me go to sleep. But I can tell you, if you're a man and you have prostate issues, for right now, I can tell you, I don't know what the future holds. I could get infections. I don't know, my leg could fall off because of the surgery. I have no idea. The only bad things I can say about the whole thing was how I was treated by a variety of different people and nurses. The orderlies were amazing. My doctor apparently did his job. I have not heard from the man since. I've never seen this before. Usually a doctor will come by your bed and say, "Hey, how's your dick doing there, Pete?" Nothing. I haven't heard squat from this man. And he's a busy man. I understand that, but it'd be nice if he dropped me a line or something. After all, he had my penis in his hands for 45 to 90 minutes, and he was gouging out my prostate. He could at least, send me some roses or something. But Dr. BH, I don't know where you went, but okay, that's the way you do things. But thank you for letting me pee again. You know, I appreciate it. I'm happy. I'm sitting here on my couch in my house. My wife is at a doctor's appointment for her health, and I'm a happier person. And if it continues like this, I recommend this procedure. I'll keep you informed as to, you know, how it continues to go from this point forward. But for right now, I'm peeing like an 18-year-old. Praise Jesus. I'm praying. Give Jesus all the credit. I know I swear in the Bible, I'm doing well. No pain, very little blood. And when I went in today to have my catheter pulled, it was no problem. None of it was a problem. For me, it was easier than getting a tooth pulled, and I hate having my teeth pulled and drilled and stuff like that. So there you have it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. You know, I don't know what else to say. It's a scary time in your life when you can't pee, but if you don't do something about it, you're going to get very sick. And this is easier than being on dialysis, because I had a neighbor, my roommate in the hospital, had just had his kidney replaced. He had been on dialysis, and he was a very happy man to no longer be on dialysis. He told me it was horrible. So take care of your bodies. Stop being proud of your penises. Stop being proud of your prostate. Stop worrying about doctors doing a digital rectal exam. Because if you don't do something about this, you're not going to be able to see your kids grow up. You're not going to be able to see your grandkids. You're not going to be able to see the next day. Your body will shut down, plain and simple. And I wish all the urologists I met prior to Dr. BH had the balls to tell me the seriousness of my situation. Dr. BH, I want to thank you for being straightforward and telling me like it was. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ever gotten this procedure. And if it weren't for your directness, I don't know where I'd be today. So I want to thank you for that. God bless you, everybody. Hang in there. Give me the thumbs up. I don't care if you thumbs me up or not, but just let me know what your experience has been. And if you're getting this procedure, try to trust your doctors. All right, bye. Okay, and if you don't believe me about what it's like to pee, I'm 59 years old, and I'm about to take a pee for you all. This is no catheter. Don't worry, you won't get to see any of my private parts. But take a listen to this magnificent, wonderful sound of urination. Oh, heaven, heaven. Heaven is upon me. No blood, beautiful lemon yellow urine. Nothing more beautiful. Oh, thank you, doctor. Strange when you told me that one day your dreams had changed, that you were a sucker for the strong silent type. You told me how after all these years, how the crossroads dropped you off and left you here. Now once you leave, you can